In the year 246 BC, amidst the chaos of the Warring States period, a 13-year-old boy named Ying Zheng ascended the throne of the Qin state. The land was soaked in the blood of centuries of warfare, yet this young king possessed a vision unlike any before him. He did not merely want to rule, he wanted to unify all under heaven. By 221 BC, through ruthless military strategy and the iron fist of legalist philosophy, he conquered the 6 rival states, declaring himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. However, the man who conquered the world was terrified of leaving it. Haunted by the specter of death and 3 assassination attempts, Qin Shi Huang became obsessed with immortality. He sent expeditions to find the elixir of life, but he was also a pragmatist. If he could not live forever in the flesh, he would rule forever in the spirit realm. Thus, he commissioned a mausoleum that would rival the universe itself, a project that began when he was just a teenager and consumed the resources of an entire empire. At the foot of Mount Lai, Xi'an, chosen for its auspicious feng shui and rich gold deposits, a city of the dead began to rise. The scale was monstrous. Historical records state that over 720,000 laborers were conscripted, more than the population of many ancient cities. Prisoners, artisans, and farmers toiled under the lash of overseers. The work was grueling. Heavy shackles found at the site suggest that for many, this was a death sentence. The emperor required an army to protect him from the vengeful spirits of the soldiers he had killed during his conquests. This army had to be perfect. The creation of the Terracotta Warriors was a marvel of ancient industrial engineering. A module system was invented. Legs, arms, torsos, and heads were mass-produced in workshops using local clay. However, the final assembly was a work of individual art. No 2 soldiers were alike. Master sculptors carved the wet clay to create distinct facial features, capturing the diversity of the Qin Empire. Some faces looked like men from the steppes, others from the Central Plains. They sculpted varying mustaches, braided hairstyles, and expressions ranging from stoic discipline to fierce aggression. Once the clay forms were fired in kilns at temperatures reaching 1,000 degrees Celsius, they became as hard as stone. Then came the color. Today we see them as gray ghosts, but originally they were a riot of color. Artisans used precious pigments, ground cinnabar for red, azurite for blue, malachite for green, and a rare, chemically complex Han purple created through early alchemy. The soldiers were dressed in lacquered armor and handed real, battle-ready weapons. Over 40,000 bronze weapons have been recovered, their blades coated in chromium dioxide, an anti-rust technology that kept them sharp for 2,000 years. The army, arranged in 3 massive pits, was merely the outer guard. Deep beneath the central burial mound lies the emperor's true palace, which remains unexcavated to this day. The ancient historian Sima Qian wrote that the tomb contains a replica of the entire empire. The ceiling is studded with pearls to represent the sun, moon, and stars. On the floor, a topographical map of China features the Yangtze and Yellow rivers, not made of water, but of flowing liquid mercury, driven by mechanical pumps to circulate eternally. The tomb was also a place of cruelty. To keep its secrets, artisans who installed the mechanical crossbow traps, designed to shoot grave robbers, were sealed inside alive. Furthermore, childless concubines were ordered to follow the emperor into death, their skeletons later found in sacrificial pits, a grim testament to the tyrant's desire to possess everything, even people, in the afterlife. In 210 BC, Qin Shi Huang died during a tour of the East. His death was hidden by his advisors, who carted salted fish alongside his carriage to mask the smell of his decomposing body until they returned to the capital. His dynasty, intended to last 10,000 generations, crumbled in just a few years. In the ensuing rebellion, General Shang Yu arrived at the mausoleum. Driven by hatred for the Qin, his troops looted the weapons from the Terracotta Army and set fire to the heavy wooden roofs covering the pits. The intense heat caused the roofs to collapse, crushing thousands of soldiers and burying them under tons of earth. The fire also baked the soil, sealing the tomb hermetically. Over centuries, floods and shifting soil completely hid the army. The vibrant colors sat in the dark, preserved by the damp soil, waiting. For 2 millennia, the army was a myth, whispered about by villagers who occasionally found pottery shards. Then, on March 29, 1974, amidst a severe drought, a farmer named Yang Ji-fa and his brothers were digging a well in Lintong County. Yang's shovel struck a hard object. He pried out what he thought was a temple statue. It was the head of a warrior. When archaeologists arrived, they uncovered the 8th wonder of the world, but tragedy struck immediately. As the soldiers were excavated and exposed to the dry air, the lacquer underneath the paint curled and flaked off. Within minutes, the vibrant reds, greens, and purples that had survived 2,200 years disintegrated into dust, leaving the gray terracotta we see today. Now, the silent army stands in the exhibition halls of Xi'an, staring silently at millions of tourists. They are the guardians of a dream that failed. Yet, in their survival, they have achieved the immortality their masters so desperately sought. While the Terracotta Warriors are famous for their martial might, they were not alone in the afterlife. Recent excavations in the accessory pits, K9901 and K0006, revealed that Emperor Qin Shi Huang did not just want protection, he wanted entertainment and administration. Archaeologists uncovered the acrobats, shirtless figures with anatomically correct muscles, captured in dynamic poses of lifting and balancing. They found musicians with delicate fingers meant to pluck zithers, and civil officials wearing tall hats and long robes, carrying tools for writing rather than killing. These figures prove that the emperor envisioned a functioning society underground, complete with bureaucratic management and courtly pleasures. In the modern era, the battle is no longer against rebel armies, but against time itself. In the laboratories near the mausoleum, a team of terracotta doctors works tirelessly. It takes an average of 6 months to restore a single warrior. They piece together thousands of smashed pottery shards like a giant 3D puzzle. Using advanced chemical agents, they are now learning to stabilize the ancient paint before it flakes off, hoping that one day the newly excavated soldiers will retain their living colors, bridging the gap between the ancient past and the high-tech future. While the clay soldiers are immortal, the men who made them were all too mortal. To the west of the mausoleum, archaeologists uncovered a grim reality that contrasts sharply with the artistic beauty of the warriors: mass graves. Here lie the Xi'an convicts. These were the real army of the dead: laborers, prisoners of war, and debtors who were worked to death. Skeletons have been found with iron shackles still clamped around their ankles, their bodies tossed haphazardly into pits, devoid of the ceremonial honor given to the emperor. Historical texts suggest that once the tomb was sealed, the artisans who knew the secrets of the traps and treasure locations were trapped inside, their screams silenced by the heavy stone doors, ensuring that only the dead would know the emperor's final resting place. Today, the central burial mound, a man-made pyramid covered in pomegranate trees, remains untouched. It is not fear of curses that stops modern archaeologists, but fear of destruction. They remember the tragedy of the 1970s when the paint vanished from the warriors. Without technology to preserve delicate silk, paper, and wood that might exist inside, opening the tomb would be an act of vandalism. Furthermore, science supports the legends. Soil samples taken from the mound have revealed distinctively high levels of mercury, 100 times higher than the surrounding earth. This confirms Sima Qian's ancient claim of rivers of mercury, suggesting that a toxic, liquid barrier still protects the emperor, defying anyone to disturb his eternal slumber.